Hello, my friends. How do you stop a werewolf attacking you? Throw a stick and shout, "Fetch!" Be sure to subscribe to my channel. That morning we were returning to the house. I looked at the horizon. The sun was starting to fly in the sky. The sun wanted to shine everything. I smiled unpleasantly because night was my time. I remembered many moments from my life when darkness went away and my mood changed. Maybe that morning everything could go on like that, and bad feelings could attack me, but one thing changed the future. Mike was going forward. Suddenly I realized that he was already adult. I remembered when he was little baby. How much time has passed. The children are growing up and the parents becoming old. Maybe it sounds stupid, but this is reality. I looked around. The beautiful forest looked amazing, but my son Mike was the main thing for me. I thought that my son saved me from bad feelings. Suddenly I heard screaming. The woman was in danger. Mike looked at me and said, "This is a mom." "Stay here," I said, and run. I wanted to think positively, but a bad thing immediately attacked me. Did they find us? We were hiding very well. How they were able to find a house. When I got home, my wife Jillian cried out. "Anthony, I was so scared." "What happened?" I asked. I opened the house door and went outside. She answered. "The other side of the lake." They were standing there and watching me. I heard the sound of running and turned around. Mike stopped and asked, "Mom, what happened? I was so afraid because of you." "Don't worry," Jillian answered. "Enter the house, Mike." "But Mom, something bad happened," Mike said. I became angry. First of all, I told that Mike needed to stay in the forest, but he came here. The second reason was also serious. His mother said what Mike needed to do, but the boy did not want to do it. "Mike, quickly!" I screamed. "You heard what your mother said." Mike entered the house. I looked at the forest and asked, "Who was standing there?" "The monsters were standing there," Jillian answered. I smiled and started walking. Jillian wanted to go with me, but I wanted to hunt alone. I started swimming. When I entered the forest, some new smell came to me. Maybe in the forest really came some scary creatures? At first, I thought that Jillian told something very stupid, but the new smells answered me. Yes, they told that my wife was right and she said the truth. Also, I found traces of steps. There were 5 creatures. They had a very big and strange foot. I started to follow. In the forest, I always feel like the householder. The whole forest was mine, but suddenly something changed. The new smells and strange footsteps changed everything. I did not know correctly, but maybe I was scared or feeling very uncomfortable. It is hard to think about this. Also, I can't remember everything correctly. I can only say that I felt like an uninvited guest or some stupid man who went to another world and wants to quickly get back on his own house. Suddenly I heard some sound. My reflex immediately helped me. One moment and the knife appeared on my hand. The second moment and the knife started flying. The squirrel jumped on another tree. I realized what happened and smiled. My hunting continued, but after few minutes it ended. The steps were disappeared. I turned back and started to go back. "Anthony, did you find someone?" Jillian was running towards me. "No, they escaped," I answered. "We need to go back." We entered the house. The whole family was in one room. We were all hungry and wanted to eat. "Dad, you killed the monsters." Mike smiled. "I know that you did it." We heard Gillian's screaming. Grandmother said, "What happened? Did someone attack her?" Whole time I was thinking about these uninvited guests. They came here and told, "We are owners and everyone is our guest." I became angry. When my grandmother asked the stupid question, I stood up. "You all were in the house, and when someone is screaming, someone can help him." I left the room and went to the second floor. My room always was very comfortable. I was running the whole night and became a little bit tired. Because of this, I wanted to sleep. My grandmother entered the room and asked, "Are you angry at me?" "No, Grandmother, I'm tired and really need to rest," I answered. The grandmother looked at me. She smiled and left the room. I closed my eyes and fell asleep. Maybe the man who lives in the forest needs to be focused. Also, if he has a family, not only wife and son, but mother, father and grandparents. Yes, man needs to have some ability to see the future. It would be good for me, but unfortunately only Gillian's screaming drew my attention. Like a crazy monster, I immediately stood up and looked out the window. Mike always loved to play near the lake. Maybe in that evening, he was playing there. And this happened. Yes, I saw how some monsters catch my son and going towards the lake. The creatures looked like some fish. They were tall and could walk with 2 legs. I quickly opened the window and jumped. I was still in the air when transformed into the werewolf. "Dad, help me!" Mike screamed. I did not like to be late and immediately attacked the monsters. One hit with my big claws, and the monster that held my son fell. The other monster hit me, and at this time I fell down. I stood up and saw that Mike was running towards the house. Gillian, father, and mother were fighting with other monsters. One monster screamed and closed the distance. I hit the monster with my claws. After this he hit me. The fist was strong, but at this time I did not fell down. A few seconds and the creature was dead. The other monster looked at me and started walking but suddenly stopped. The creature was angry because I killed his friends. Also, it was afraid. Yes, the creature like fish scared because of big bad wolf. Also, I saw the grief on his face. The creature looked at dead friends, turned back and jumped into the water. I transformed into a human and turned back. I smiled and screamed. It was a good fight and we won. Gillian started crying and said, "They took your grandfather." I hugged her and asked, "But when?" "They wanted to take Mike but I stopped it." Gillian and other family members told me everything. Mike and grandfather were playing near the lake. Suddenly the fish monsters came out of the water. They quickly caught the old man and went back to the water. After this, I came here and started the fight. We entered the house. Everyone was very strained. Mike, Gillian, father, and mother. Everyone was talking and screaming. Each one had own theory. Only a grandmother was in silence and looking for family members with strange eyes. Enough. I stood up and hit the fist in the table. "But Anthony, we need to know who they are," Gillian said. "We need to save my grandfather." I opened the door and went away. There was only one way. Maybe someone will say that in life we have many ways. Every bad situation has own good doors. Yes, sounds funny but everyone is thinking like this. And also I was thinking the same. In this new situation, I did not saw many shining doors. There was only one door. I needed to find my grandfather. Of course, there would be a bloody fight. And what? I was a monster and these creatures were simple monsters. We would fight and the winner will take everything. Anthony, stop. Jillian was running towards me. I turned back and asked, "What you want, baby?" "We won the fight," she answered. They were scared. "The fish monsters never will attack our house. We need to get back into the house." "And the old man?" I asked. "We need to save grandfather." Jillian was standing and watching me. After this she said, "Of course, war is very bad, but every fight has victims." I became surprised. My heart always told me that family was an amazing thing. In the family, every member would try to do the best for other people. Right now Jillian acted very badly. "Time is going very quickly," I said. "My way is to go into the forest." I continued walking. I wanted that Jillian went back into the house, but she followed me. The plan was very simple and maybe also really stupid. I was following the river. Maybe somewhere I would meet the fish monsters and my grandfather. When Jillian heard the stupid plan, she became stressed and disappointed. When night fell, Jillian stopped and said, "It is already night. We need to get back." "The night makes us much stronger," I answered. "The night is our time and the moon is a werewolf's friend." We continued talking. After a few minutes, I became surprised. We saw fish monsters near lake. "Where is the old man?" I asked. We saw the grandfather. The fish monsters were beating him. There were only 10 monsters. I had a good chance. I immediately transformed into the werewolf and attacked the fish monsters. Jillian followed me. It was a hard fight, but maybe we could win. Unfortunately, from the lake went out of other fish monsters. They were coming and coming. The grandfather was screaming. Jillian started howling. It was a sign. We needed to run away. It was bad, but we could not save the old man. When we returned in the house, family members started asking questions. "What happened?" Mike asked. "Where is the old man?" the father asked. Jillian told everything. After this, silence came to our house. Every member realized that situation was very bad. Suddenly some fish monsters came on our territory and started hunting. They could attack us. They could destroy our house. And what could we do? Only defend. "Dad, we can kill everyone," Mike screamed. They were strong, but fish monsters did not regenerate. "We have strong regeneration." "Yes, my boy, but there are too many fish monsters," I answered. I went to my room. Guilt came to me. I fell asleep and wake up late. Because of this, they took the old man. Because of me, I did not want to sleep. I needed to stay alone. I don't remember how much time has passed. Suddenly some thought came to me. I immediately stood up and went on the first floor. The family members were still in a one room and talking about the future. "Grandmother, you need to tell everything," I said. The old woman looked at me and asked, "What?" The grandmother thought that she could escape the question, but the old woman was wrong. She was an interesting person. Every time when grandmother had a dialogue with someone, she would be the winner. She never was interested in other people's feelings. In the morning, when I said that Jillian was screaming and family members could help him, grandmother answered nothing. After this, She came to my room and asked how I was. After this, fish monsters took the grandfather. Everyone was talking, only the grandmother was silent. It was strange because the grandmother liked talking. I told my theory. Everyone looked at the grandmother. She looked down and started talking. Everything is so strange. My husband was thinking that everything bad stood in the past. But he was wrong. Yes, wrong. And now he is dead. She told that a long time ago the werewolves pack came here. The other places in the world were dangerous. Humans believed that monsters really existed and they had begun to hunt. This secret forest was an amazing place. Only one problem stood in the door and wanted to destroy everything. In the forest were living fish monsters. Big troubles started. No one wanted to leave the forest. Finally, werewolves won the war, but most of them were dead. The grandmother knew the fish monsters would come back. Yes, one day they would attack. And that day has come. These creatures want revenge. Jillian screamed. I became angry and asked, "Did you know what was going to happen and said nothing?" The grandmother did not answer. "We need to go," I said. Jillian stood up. No, everyone stood up, only the grandmother was sitting. "Where we would go?" she asked. "This is our house. The world is a terrifying place. We will stay here." My mother and father sat down in the chair. "Maybe the fish monsters are coming," Jillian said. I opened the door and went away. My wife and son followed me. We were walking in the forest. Suddenly I heard a strange noise. Someone was whistling. My family stayed in one place. I went forward. After a few minutes, I saw that the whole place was full of fish monsters. I understood that we could not leave the forest. Suddenly a screaming voice came to me. My wife screamed. The 3 fish monsters attacked her. I quickly went back and defeated the creatures, but they were coming and coming. We quickly went back to the house. The house was empty. We did not understand where my grandmother and parents disappeared. Water began to fill the house. "What is happening?" Jillian asked. We looked outside. The fish monsters were standing around the house. My son Mike scared. We went to the 2nd floor and started waiting. We knew that death was very close and it would touch us. However, we were monsters. I stood up and said that everything would be good. Here will be a fight, but it will end very quickly and werewolves will be winners.